Hey, I'm Zac.
And I'm Jesse.
And you're watching In Depth
On Now You Know.
You can help support our channel by going to ecoware.us, where you can check out the new designs we have all the time, and we carbon offset the production, shipping, and life cycle of every product, and we plant a tree for every order.
And we're brought to you by abetterrouteplanner.com. They just came out with their new premium version of the app, which you can test out for 30 days for free by using our link in the description below.
And we're sponsored by our friends at the solar-powered hotels in Schaumburg, Illinois. That's near Chicago. The Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott and the Town Place Suite Hotel right next door. They're both connected, they're both solar-powered, and they both have EV charging. So a warning, folks, Jesse and I are about to get political.
So if that isn't what you tuned in for, if it makes you uncomfortable, then you should probably stick around.
Because I hate to be the one to break this to you, but life is uncomfortable right now. And if we're going to have any hope of changing this, then we're going to need strong, smart, bold, unconventional leaders to get us out of this.
And where are those leaders going to come from? They probably aren't going to come from the self-serving group of representatives that have led us to where we are today. We are going to need some new blood.
For decades, at least in this country, we have educated our children, teaching them pretty well how to read and write, and how to do math, and how to take tests.
What we haven't taught them very well, and this is by design, is how to be good citizens.
Now, good citizens aren't born. They are taught. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you grow up and you learn from what you see around you. And if what you see around you is that money is the most important thing, the thing that gets the most respect, the most security, the most value in your society, then if you're smart, you go after the money.
And how do you get the money? You go after careers that pay the best. Ball players, doctors, movie stars, lawyers, maybe. And there's nothing wrong with those professions.
Unless those are the only professions that anyone ever talks about, that anyone really values. You know what jobs kids don't learn much about? Town managers.
School committee members.
City council members.
Mayors.
State representatives.
State senators.
Moderators.
Select board members.
Board of health members.
Town planners.
Parks and recreation commissioners.
Water commissioners.
Library trustees.
And town meeting members.
And you know why? Because they don't make much money. In many cases, and I speak from experience, they don't make any money at all.
You know what else our kids don't get taught much about? How government works. Sure, it's complicated. Sure, it can be boring. But so are many of the subjects we teach our kids. So that can't be the reason why we don't do it.
You know why we don't do it? Because the people in power know that to stay in power, they have to keep the machinery of government as obscured as possible.
The harder it is for people to understand how it works, the easier they can do what they want without us getting in the way.
Now, I know what you're thinking right now. You're saying, wait a minute, this sounds like some kind of conspiracy theory. Next, you're going to tell us about some secret cabal and billionaires meeting in Davos.
Nope. But what we're talking about is just human nature that we've known about for centuries. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Once someone gets a taste of power, it's pretty hard not to want to keep it. And I speak from experience. I'm a dad and a politician. I've been a dad for 26 years, and I've been a politician for over 20. As a dad, I've gone from having little kids where I was right about everything and having my kids have to do what I tell them when I tell them. That's absolute power. Now I have grown-up kids who don't have to listen much. Now, I'm not saying parenting was easy when my kids had to listen, but there are plenty of times now that I wish I could just command them to do as I say to solve a problem. Now, as an elected municipal official, I've experienced power. My board has the power to write laws, kick people out of their homes, condemn buildings, quarantine people in their homes, close restaurants, fine people. Heck, we can even kill beavers. Yeah, beavers. And in my 20 years, we've done all these things and more. And at times, it's quite thrilling to know that you have the power and authority to make these decisions and affect your community in such powerful ways. And I've seen it go to people's heads. And I've seen firsthand the contempt people in power have for those they serve. How dare they come bother us with their silly problems? Can't they see how important we are? These commoners are so dumb. Why don't they understand how government works?
Yeah, why don't they understand how government works? Oh yeah, it's because we don't want them to understand how it works. We've made laws so complicated that you need to hire a lawyer just to understand them. And no wonder we elect lawyers to write them.
We've designed a system that makes us think that if we're upset about something, we've got only 4 options. 1, complain about it. 2, sign a petition. 3, protest. 4, vote.
Don't get me wrong. Those are all viable options. But we're forgetting what I would argue might be the most important option. Run for office.
You see, the first 3 can all be ignored. And voting only works if you have someone decent to vote for. But running for office can actually lead to replacing a part of the government machine with a new part.
And that part could be you.
Now, we're not saying that everyone watching is capable of running for office. Would you like to run for office? Go ahead. I'll wait while you think about it for a second and give us your answer.
If your answer was some kind of excuse, then please don't bother. Don't run. We don't need you.
Not everyone has to run for office. Even if only a small percentage of people run, we'd have taken a giant leap towards solving our problems.
Because, you see, most of our problems stem from the fact that we have very little competition. Once a politician gets in office, they can usually stay there for as long as they want.
Take me, for example. I ran for office in 1998 against an incumbent and lost. Then I ran again in 1999 and won. And I haven't lost since. And you know why? Because no one has run against me. In a town of 23,000 people, no one has run against me in 20 years. Why has nobody run against me?
Because we fear failure.
And what is one of the worst failures?
To put your name out there to all your fellow neighbors and lose. That is the ultimate failure, right?
I'll bet that's one big reason why most people haven't run for office. The fear of losing, of being thought of as a loser.
What if we taught our kids in school that running for office was their civic duty? That running for office was something to be respected for, win or lose?
You know, 2 of the biggest reasons that people run for office, either their family member was elected, or they get upset about something.
If you grow up and your mom or dad is an elected official and you learn that that's a thing, it's just like saying my dad's a carpenter or my mom's a teacher. It seems like a normal job.
And if you find out that a coal power plant is going to be built nearby and you show up to a planning board meeting and you see firsthand that they're a bunch of morons, if you get mad enough, you run for planning board.
So that's basically it. Unless you grew up in a family of politicians or unless you get mad enough, you aren't going to run for anything. You might complain on Facebook and you might give some money to some group that promises to fight for you. But you know what you're not going to do?
You're not going to run for office because it's scary and it seems hard and you might lose. Oh, and you might win, which scares you too, because you don't know how to do it. And that's what they want.
That's exactly what they want.
What they don't want is to have to deal with you. And if you run for office, they will have to deal with you.
Even if you don't win, even if you don't come close to winning, they will have to deal with you.
And again, I speak from experience. When I was 20 years old, I was pretty upset with how our state was spending money. And I complained all the time. And I tried to get my mom to run for office. And one day she said to me, if you're so upset about it, why don't you run? You're old enough to be a state representative. So being a brash 20-year-old, I marched down to the election office and took out nomination papers. And then I stood on the street corner day after day asking people to sign my nomination papers. I believe I needed 300 signatures from registered voters. And it took me weeks to get enough valid signatures. And my opponent, who was an incumbent, sent out his minions, and in one day, he got all his signatures. So I printed up flyers, I gave some speeches to largely empty rooms, and I got a couple newspapers to interview me, and I lost. I ran as an independent. I was the youngest person to ever run for that office in my district, and I lost. Do I regret having run? No. I learned more about how government and elections actually work than any courses could have taught me. In fact, I submitted a detailed paper about my experience and got Boston University to give me 4 credits for it.
You might not be the right person to run for an office. You might not be at the right time of your life. Maybe you're a kid. Maybe you're too busy. But maybe, just maybe, you know someone who would be that right person.
And maybe you're the right person to give them a shove. Or maybe some of you watching are the right person and you don't even know it. Jesse and I are in the final stages of getting the software ready for Now We Act.
Now We Act is a map that people can put virtual pins anywhere in the world and make a project that you would like to do to make this world a better place.
We talk all the time about how that project might be getting solar on your school's roof. And we want to help with advisors and lessons on how to share your ideas using videos, like a Kickstarter campaign, except instead of selling something, it's fixing something.
Building something. But maybe that project is you.
Yeah, maybe you would like to run for office and you need some help, some support. I know I would have loved someone to help me understand how the system worked and what to expect when I ran 30 years ago.
This world has lots of problems, and we need good leaders. Becoming a good leader takes practice, and you can get that practice by starting to get involved in your government at any level. Start small.
Volunteer for a committee at your local school, church, or town.
Many boards have appointed members, where you don't even have to run in an election. You just need to fill out a form and let your local government know that you are available and interested.
Start by just going to some meetings. Many of them are virtual now, so you may not even have to get off your couch.
And yeah, many local government meetings are boring, especially in the beginning when you don't know what they're talking about and who the characters are.
I thought I could run for state rep because often when I came home from school as a kid, I would walk through my state house on the way home. And then I would turn on my local TV coverage of the state house representatives' hearings and votes, watching all the reps get up and make speeches, learning their names, the issues, and watching the majority party control everything. Well, that all made me kind of mad. I'm kind of hoping you'll do the same thing. Start watching your local school board meetings or city council or state house meetings and get kind of mad. Mad enough to maybe consider running for office yourself.
Your running will give voters more choice. It will force the incumbent to answer more questions, maybe even listen to their constituents more. And who knows, maybe you'll even win and get to bring your ideas to the table and bring about much needed change.
It's so easy right now to feel hopeless. And that's what they want you to feel. What they don't want is for you to realize how powerful you are, how you can make a change.
And if you don't believe us, just think about this. About a year and a half ago, nobody had ever heard of this girl. She wasn't even old enough to vote. She got mad and she did something. She acted and she started a movement.
And you can too.
Please, if you're watching this and you've gotten to the end, don't even bother writing a comment. Don't bother hitting the like button or anything. Please just sit for a single, solitary, silent minute and just think about the future. It's in your hands. You can take control. You can do this. Please consider acting. We need you.
Now you know.